on. The topic that we are about to discuss is a continuation of our previous group. By the way, I'm with Pungkawil Ronel and we are about to discuss VAT on sales of services. So when we say VAT on sales of services, it means performance of all kinds of services in the Philippines for others for a fee, whether in kind or in cash. It is a tax on the services, and as such it accrues at the time the services is collected. Payment may be collected in advance or after the services is rendered. It is also a tax on payment services rendered in the exercise of profession or calling. It is indirect tax and thus may be passed on the client or it is explained here that the payment for the services you rendered may be collected on or before the services is already done. The sale of exchange of services is subject to 12% VAT based on the gross receipt from any person engaged in the sales of such services or lease of Section 108A of the Tax Code as amended by 10963 or the Trade Law. Sale or exchange of services include those who perform by the following: a construction and service contractors, stock, real estate, commercial, customs and immigration brokers, lessors of property, whether personal or real, warehousing services, and please refer to the book for reference, please. What we mentioned here is those who are perform a exchange of services. The term sale or exchange of service shall likewise include the lease or use of the right or privilege to use any copyright, patent, design or model, plan, secret formula or process, goodwill, trademark, trade brand or other like property or right. If they are the one who perform the sale or exchange of services, they are the example of the exchange of services. Lease of properties shall be subject to VAT irrespective of the place where the contract of lease or licensing agreement was executed if the property is leased or used in the Philippines. Meaning, the lease of properties shall be subject to VAT irrespective of the place where the contract of lease or licensing agreement. So, lease of properties is also subject to VAT whenever or wherever the licensing agreement was done or executed if the property or lease is used in the Philippines. So you are subject to VAT whether your property the property is used in the Philippines but the licensing agreement is not executed here in the Philippines or not done in the Philippines. Yes. The term gross receipt as provided for under the Trade Law, meaning the total amount of money or its equivalent representing the contract price, compensation, service fee, rental or royalty, including the amount charged for material supplied with the services and deposits and the taxable payments actually and contractively received during the taxable period for services performed or to be performed for another person, excluding value constructive receipts occurs when the money in consideration or its equivalent is placed at the control of the person who rendered the service without restriction by the payer. Please refer to page 234 for example. Since we talk about gross receipt, if we talk about sales of services, the basis is collection or gross receipt. So we are going to multiply the 12% since a 12% VAT, since the focus here is gross receipt, then we will multiply 12% to gross receipt. Gross receipt, when we say sales of services, the basis is gross receipt. But when we talk about sales of goods, then we are going to always remember, if we are going to talk about sales of services, the basis is collection or gross receipts. And if sales of good or properties, the basis, a tax basis is gross selling price.
Non-life insurance. Only the transactions entered into by the persons in the course of non-life insurance business are subject to value-added tax. They include marine, fire and casualty insurance, surety, fidelity, indemnity bonding companies, and mutual benefit associations. They are subject to premium tax under Section 123 of the Tax Code. Non-resident foreign persons rendering non-life insurance services in the Philippines are also subject to 12% VAT. The gross receipts from non-life insurance shall mean total premium collections, whether paid in money, notes, credits, or any substitute for money. Non-life insurance premiums are subject to VAT. Insurance and reinsurance commissions, whether life or non-life, are subject to VAT. Pre-need companies. Pre-need companies are companies registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission and authorized licensed to sell or offer for sale pre-need plans, whether a single plan or multi-plan. They are engaged in business as a seller of service, providing services to plan holders by managing the funds provided by them and making payments at the time of need of maturity of the contract. As service providers, the compensation for their service is premiums or payments received from the plan holders. So therefore, they are subject to value-added tax. Health Maintenance Organizations or HMOs. HMOs are entities organized in accordance with the Corporation Code of the Philippines and licensed by the appropriate government agency, which arranges for coverage or design, manage, or care services needed by plan holders or members for fixed prepaid memberships and for a specified period of time. Franchise grantees. The following services of franchise grantees are subject to VAT. 1. On electric utilities. 2 is then on telephone and telegraph. 3 is on toll road operations. 4 is on radio and television broadcasting, except franchise grantees of radio and television broadcasting companies whose annual gross receipts of the preceding year do not exceed 10 million pesos because they are subject to a franchise tax of 3%. Dealers in securities and lending investors. Dealers in security means a merchant of stocks or securities. A. With an established place of business. B. Regular engaged in the purchase of securities and their resale to customers. That is, one who as merchant buys securities and sells them to the customers. C. With a view to the gains and profit that may be derived therefrom. Millers. The millers subject to VAT are those engaged in milling for others, except millers of palay into rice, corn into corn grits, sugarcane into raw sugar. Basis, because if the miller is paid in cash, VAT shall be based on gross receipts for services during the month or quarter. And if the miller receive a share of mailed products instead of cash. VAT shall based on the actual market value of his share in the mailed product. Sale by the owner of the biller of his share in mailed product, except rice, corn grits, and raw sugar, shall be subject to VAT. Construction and service constructors. Input VAT and construction in progress shall be recognized and claimed in the month of purchase for goods or payments for services, if supported by a proper VAT invoice or official receipt. Construction in progress shall refer to the cost of construction work which is not yet completed. It is considered purchase of services. Input taxes will be recognized in the month payment was made on the progress billing. Recreational clubs.